I don't need these man-made rules. Watch me. I'm gonna climb up on the car and I'm gonna fly. Watch me. Watch me. Watch me, okay? I'm gonna fly, okay? You ready? Watch me. How do you know if what you believe in is right? How can you know what's the right thing to believe in? The number one thing that shapes your behavior is your beliefs. If you've got bad beliefs, you're gonna have bad behaviors. If you've got good beliefs, then you're gonna have good behaviors. Weak beliefs produce weak behaviors, behaviors that are inconsistent and unreliable, while strong beliefs will produce strong behaviors, behaviors that are reliable and consistent and not easily influenced or changed. The best beliefs are true beliefs, because true beliefs are consistent and productive over the long haul. True beliefs produce behaviors that correspond to how things ought to be, while false beliefs produce behaviors that don't correspond to how things ought to be. True beliefs produce behaviors that correspond to how things really are, while false beliefs produce behaviors that don't correspond to how things really are. We have to work hard to get rid of false beliefs and maintain true beliefs. But this begs the question, how do I know if what I believe is right? How can I know what's the right thing to believe in? How do I know if what I believe about God or about relationships, about money or responsibility is true? How can I tell which religion is true or which relationship advice is true? These questions require intentional investigation. So over the next few minutes, my goal is to help you understand and answer these questions by going over two things. First, I'll go over what is belief or what is a belief. And second, we'll talk about how to determine if a belief is true, whether it's your belief or someone else's belief. As a bonus, if you stick around to the end, I'll show you an additional way in which you can investigate if you have true or false beliefs. Let's start with defining belief. Now, in my attempts to define belief, I had to play my usual game on the internet of semantic warfare. There are dozens of different definitions of belief, and they all have little subtle differences. So in an effort to create clarity, what I did is I chose 3 of the definitions that I thought made the most sense. And from these 3, we'll combine them and we'll try to create a workable definition of belief. The first place we'll go to is Google. Now, Google defines belief in a few different ways, but the definition that says something one accepts as true or real, a firmly held opinion or conviction, seemed to make the most sense to me. Next, we'll take a look at the website that has the strong concordance on it. Belief is a word that many Christians use. It's a word deeply embedded into the Christian tradition, so I figured we should take a look at the lexicons and see what they have to say. And if we look at the Thayer's Greek lexicon, it says that belief is a conviction of the truth of anything. And lastly, in an interview, Dennett gave a great definition of belief. He said that some beliefs are kind of like opinions, but a great way to define or characterize beliefs is the bet on the truth of a sentence. And I really like this definition by Dr. Dennett. Now, if we were to summarize these definitions of belief, a working definition of belief could be the conviction of the truth of a statement or the bet on the truth of a sentence. Now, we may not realize it, but we have a lot of beliefs. A lot of beliefs. And no matter who you are, you hold beliefs that are true and you hold beliefs that aren't true. Whether it's believing that eating food will help you live, believing that maybe one day the Cowboys might win the Super Bowl, please, Lord, please. Or you could believe in Santa Claus. We all have an amalgam of beliefs. Given this fact, the question now shifts from what is belief to do true beliefs matter? And if so, how can I know if what I believe is true? Or how can I know what's the right thing to believe in? To answer the question, do true beliefs matter? Let's take a look at the following scenario. Let's say I believe that gravity was a man-made construct and was not an actual property of reality.
To demonstrate my belief in the myth of gravity, I climb to the top of my car and attempt to jump off the car and flap my wings really fast and fly away. I have rejected a true belief and accepted a false belief. And in a very short amount of time, I will reap the consequences of my false belief. The reason why we should value true beliefs is because there are negative consequences to going against reality. True beliefs produce behaviors that will eventually reap a harvest of right and life, while false beliefs will produce behaviors that eventually lead to a harvest of wrong and pain. Human beings have the capacity to either go with reality or against reality. We can either choose to go with gravity or against gravity. Ultimately, we should value true beliefs because there are negative consequences to believing lies. Those negative consequences may not come as sudden as not believing in gravity, but rest assured they will come. Now that we have established the importance of adhering to true beliefs, there should be a sense of urgency stirring and moving inside of us. We should want to rid ourselves of false beliefs because false beliefs hurt us in known and unknown ways. And we should want to find out how we can cling to true beliefs. And this is now where we can come to the place where we ask the questions: how do I know if what I believe in is right? How can I know what's the right thing to believe in? In order to answer these questions, I'll look at it two different ways. The first way will be from a technical perspective, and the second way will be from a practical or pragmatic perspective. Since I'm not a philosopher, I'm only going to spend a little bit of time talking about the technical side. But I will put some links in the description box if you would like to investigate the technical side a little bit more, and you could use those ways to find or figure out how to test and see if beliefs are true at your convenience. But the majority of the rest of this video, we're going to focus on the practical way of figuring out and testing our beliefs and seeing if they're true. From a more technical standpoint, there are several different theories that you can use to help test your beliefs and see if they're true or not. Now, there are a lot of theories, but the three I'm going to talk about in this video are the correspondence theory to truth, the coherence theory to truth, and the pragmatic theory of truth. The correspondence theory states that for something to be true, it must correspond to something real. The coherence theory states that something is true if it is rational or logically consistent. And the pragmatic theory states that something is true if it is useful. Ultimately, each one of these theories has its strengths and its weaknesses. When determining if something is true, the theory that has the greatest explanatory power has the best chance of being true. Or, as Joshua Rasmussen put it, the simplest theory of truth that accounts for all the cases has the best chance of being true. Now, on a more practical level, here are some of the steps that I would use in order to test a belief and see if that belief is true or not, whether it be my belief or someone else's belief. This isn't foolproof by any means or any stretch, but it does give you a lot of clarity and it can help out in a lot of situations. And before you go on a spree of trying to test and verify and check everybody else's beliefs, I encourage you to make sure you check and clarify your own. It's always good to sweep around your own front door before you try to sweep around somebody else. With that being said, the first thing that I would do in order to see if my beliefs are true or not would be to attempt to falsify my beliefs. You want to do this first because you don't want to have unfalsifiable beliefs. If you can never confirm or deny a belief, then you'll never know if you're living with the truth or if you're living a lie. We don't want to live in such a way that we can't be proven right or wrong. Our beliefs need to be testable and falsifiable. One way you can attempt to falsify your belief is by thinking of observations that would prove your belief to be not true. Once you think of a few observations, then go out or think about ways to try to find those observations. If you find those observations are actually real, then you may need to either adjust your belief or get rid of it altogether. For example, let's just say that after I have recovered from my fight with gravity, that I've updated my beliefs. Now I'm convinced that gravity only works on people over 5 feet tall. In order to falsify my belief, I simply need to find someone shorter than 5 feet tall and see if they are affected by gravity. And if I'm proven wrong, I'll just update my belief again. The second way that I would test a belief to see if it's true would be to simply ask the question, would I want this action done towards me? And I got this from Jesus in Luke chapter 6 verse 31, where he says, do unto others as you would have done unto you. Remember, all behaviors come from some kind of belief. All you have to do is look at the behavior and ask what is driving that behavior. What belief is driving that behavior? If you would not want the behavior done to you, then the belief driving that behavior is probably not true. And here we can use an example like not clocking out for work. Let's just say you have chosen to not clock out for work during your lunch break. And you are probably believing something like, it's good for me to make as much money as I can. But if you were to ask yourself, would I want this done to me? And you were to ask, if I owned a company, would I want my employees to not clock out of work? Then I think you would have the answer to whether if what you're doing is right or not. And lastly, you can question your beliefs to see if they are true or not. Ask yourself, why do I believe what I believe? What is the source of this belief? Because I was raised as a Christian can't be the only reason that I think Christianity is true. Because if that was the case, that would mean that everyone is always raised right. And their beliefs that they had, what they were raised with, are right. And we know that that ain't true. Ask yourself, why do I believe this? When did I start to believe this? What is it I actually believe? Where did this belief come from? See if the answers to these questions are satisfactory. If not, then you may need to either adjust or update your beliefs or get rid of them altogether. And another news flash for you. Mama said is not the best reason to believe in something. Just because your parents believe something, that doesn't make it true or false. It just makes it familiar. You have to do a bit more investigating in order to figure out if the beliefs that your parents gave you are true or not. And I'm not saying you should always doubt your parents. I'm just saying that parents can be wrong just like any other person. Again, it's best to start with your beliefs first when it comes to testing them and seeing if they're true, but these tips can work on any belief that you are considering. I truly believe that these tips are great tools to help you answer those questions. How do I know if what I believe is right? And how can I know what's the right thing to believe in? And as I wrap up this video, let me just stress that people are not the authors of reality. We're all just on a journey to see how reality actually is. We're not on a journey to get reality to conform to us. We can't make demands of reality and then just expect reality to conform to us. On this journey, we have to be both humble and curious. Objective truths are true whether we want them to be or not. Not only that, but we've got to be careful about living with perpetual doubt. It is good to question some things, but it is not good to be skeptical of everything. Be confident in what you believe in, but also be willing to change and go where the evidence leads. But don't be continuously skeptical in your life. Now, as I promised, I've got some additional help for you if you would like to continue to test your beliefs and investigate them further. In the description box, there is a link that you can click or an email that you can email, and I will send you a free document in which you can use to put your beliefs on paper and actually try to dig through them and investigate them a little bit more. If you're wondering which beliefs you may need to start with, I would just encourage you to start with whatever belief is causing you the most anxiety or worry right now. Get some clarity about that belief. And if you don't have that right now, well, then just start with beliefs about God, relationships, and work, because these are the primary beliefs that shape our lives. Regardless, just click the link if you want to continue your process of investigating your beliefs. Keep an eye out over the next few weeks as I continue to talk about this topic. And if you would like to see my answers to the document, just feel free to send me an email or click on the link, and I'll be sure to make sure you get my answers to that as well. As a disciple of Jesus Christ, you can see some of my reasoning and ways of reasoning and how I came to hold some of my beliefs. Thank you so much for watching. I encourage you to get rid of false beliefs and maintain and cling to true beliefs. We all can be susceptible to believing false things, and it's our responsibility to make sure we get rid of those false things and cling to true things. God bless you, and remember that submitting to Jesus isn't just a one-time big decision, but a lifetime of intentional choices. Have a blessed day.